and welcome to Shriram's IAS. In this video, let's understand why and how behind Iran being under attack from Israel and USA. We know that this came up at a juncture where geopolitics is under turmoil. This event has shifted the history. This may eventually lead to some bigger war, some bigger clashes, because what I have been seeing and I have been reading all of this about, Russia has also launched one phosphorus bomb, which is otherwise, I would say, banned. There has been clashes or there have been reports of missiles striking UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Dubai, whatsoever. All the locations in this Middle East and the Gulf countries have been under impact. Even Iran has also launched preemptive, I would say, counter strikes to the preemptive strikes which were launched by US and Israel in the night, I would say in the last night, in the morning itself. Iran under this attack might face such, I would say, conditions where it has to go for its allies, where it has to ask for help. So, what are the prospects that who all countries are there which will help Iran? Will it actually target those Sunni countries, or will it ask help from those Sunni countries? Is it now left alone as a Shia country? Or what all is there beyond this Gulf, I would say, circle? Is Iran going to explore its extended neighborhood, which is in China and Russia, or in Algeria and Morocco? Or is Iran going to explore just the neighborhood which it has? Or is it actually turning into one more Arab Spring like, I would say, sprout? What all is behind this? Let's understand what are the reasons, what are the causes behind this recent most conflict of Iran, Israel, USA conflict, or the war which is about to, I would say, escalate. Maybe it will escalate, maybe it will not. Maybe Iran or Pakistan, which is currently facing a war with Afghanistan also. Pakistan is facing a war with Afghanistan also. That is one more impact. How will it impact India? That is one more aspect which we will be discussing today. That how this Iran-Palestine or Iran-Israel and USA war will impact India. When India has just now, yesterday, when PM Modi was there in Israel, he signed a multi-billion dollar deal. It was expected that the deal will be signed, under which Israel will supply us multiple missiles, new technology, defense technology. That all was happening. Also, India was being considered to be a part of Hexagon Alliance. Hexagon Alliance, which actually Netanyahu proposed, that will have Cyprus, Greece, Israel and India. Now, all of this is going in this geopolitical turmoil, and this may change the geoeconomics also. Why? Because in the history, always, whenever there has happened this case that Gulf came under a crisis of war, all the oil prices shook up. And when we talk about this UPSC exam, particularly, UPSC has also asked a question on imported inflation. UPSC has asked multiple questions on the locations whichever come in news from the Middle East. All those locations are important. So for you, for the next 15 days, you must be cautious about these locations. Where are they located? What all locations were targeted? Why was that location so much strategic and important? Because that was a US naval base, that was a US air base, that was a US land base, that was a base of Israel, that was hosting, I would say, US troops, maybe that. And that is what sets up the strategy. And that is why the Strait of Hormuz is also important. So therefore, the geography, geoeconomics of this area becomes more important now. Come on, let's understand more about this news. Now, let's understand that all these forces, they joined together. Israel and USA, they launched preemptive strikes on Iran. The military operations involved missiles and aerial strikes on Tehran. The strikes were described by Israel and US officials as preemptive action against the perceived security threats. Why? Because what were the security threats? That Iran is increasing its uranium enrichment, Iran is increasing its nuclear arsenal. Iran earlier actually blocked the Strait of Hormuz. It blocked the Strait of Hormuz. Iran earlier struck a drone of USA. Iran's drones get closer to US Abraham Lincoln, which were then shot down by Abraham Lincoln, who is standing nearby in the naval forces. So therefore, we should understand that the presence of US naval forces in Iran's, I would say, neighborhood was a challenge. Therefore, all of this was raising security concerns for Western powers. And that is why even you might also remember that there were massive protests in Iran. All of those protests which somehow were doctored also, and somehow all of those protests were actually demanding a regime change. They were saying that Khomeini should leave the country. He should leave the leadership. That is also one more thing. So thereby Iran is now facing a dual crisis in its internal structure of politics also and from outside also. Now we need to see that how this country will emerge from this pressure. Is it actually that US will succeed in changing the regime of Khomeini in Israel or not? In Iran or not, sorry. So therefore, what are the causes for this conflict? First is the long-standing tension between Iran and Israel, which is now prolonged, stalled diplomacy because US and Iran ties have failed. US and Iran were recently, they were in talks. Donald Trump and Iran's officials, they were having talks for a resolution of disputes, but those talks failed. Israel and USA, they argued about the strikes were aimed at neutralizing the imminent threats, not the Iran's stability, but that is not true. Iran has retaliated heavily back. One more thing which we need to understand, what are the immediate reactions? Iran vowed that they will take the counter revenge. Also, sirens sounded across Israel, or I should also inform you about that in Dubai, the Burj Khalifa was vacated. All the countries have issued, already issued, I would say, notices to the residents of there who are living in Iran. Any of the citizen who is from outside country, even in India also, even if Indian students are there in Iran, they were advised to leave the Iran as soon as possible. Even Ministry of External Affairs has launched some of the contact details also. So if any of the student is watching this, you should directly go to Ministry of External Affairs website. You will get a contact number, get into touch or comment below. We will also try to get you some help. So therefore, airspace closure have also been enforced in Iran, Israel and surrounding regions. So we need to understand that this conflict is not just a small conflict between two nations. This is a large scale conflict in which multiple nations can get involved. Even Pakistan and Afghanistan also had a chance to get involved. So therefore, strategic implication will be that the conflict will risk first into wider regional confrontation in the Middle East. Second, it will impact the oil prices. Third, it will impact the geopolitics of Middle East. Fourth important point is the global energy markets. They will be changed. But yes, before they could have impacted the global geo market or energy markets, now US has a sigh, or I would say a sigh of relief. Why? Because US has a backup of Venezuelan oil. Or maybe India has also diversified its oil sources. So that is one more thing which India might be assured of, that we will not face that much crisis. With this, we conclude today's discussion on this India-Israel, I would say, relations. But do not forget to follow us, to follow the channel. Why? Because there is more which is upcoming and all the updates will be shared on this channel with you. Particularly all the places which will come up in news, I will make a list for all those students who are preparing for UPSC or any other state or any other competitive exam. Till then, I will sign off from here. I thank you all for being here. I wish you all the best for your exams and future endeavors. Jai Hind.